Hello everyone, my name is Richie and I'm the founder of RalphVR, where we make playful, relaxing, social VR games. Now I'm sure many of you may have heard about virtual reality in the news this year, but I just want to share with you the core idea behind the technology. With virtual reality, you can be transported to another time or another place, or have another time or place or person transported to you. Imagine taking a field trip to ancient Greece with your son or daughter. Or imagine your friend who lives in Japan sitting next to you by the lake while you fish and talk about your days. This is either possible now or is coming in the future, and it's going to be big business. Analysts predict that the combined market for AR and VR will reach $100 billion in the next 5 years. And RalphVR is going to be there making games that are fun, that are relaxing, that connect you with other people. You play the video, please? Smiling, laughing, connecting with your friends. These are universal human desires. They're always there, and they'll always be there. People are always looking for new ways to connect and to have fun. And with virtual reality, RalphVR can give people new ways to unwind after work, to connect with their friends, and to go on exciting adventures. And now is a perfect time to be a startup in VR. It wasn't that long ago that Clash of Clans was just a small Finnish startup in the emerging mobile games market. And now, RalphVR is just a small Kentucky startup in the emerging VR market. We look to our players to know that we're on the right track. So I want to share with you some of the most personally gratifying feedback that I've got. This was an email from earlier this year that said, I just wanted to let you know that I love Daydream Blue. I live pretty far north, and it is dark most of the time during the winter. Every day after work, I play Daydream Blue to relax and spend some time under the virtual sun. On a personal level, this is very satisfying, but it also shows that we're making quality products. But we have to sell those products. So we sell games through digital stores, Google Play, Oculus, and Steam. The #1 driver of sales on these platforms is placement. And we've worked tirelessly for the past year to develop solid relationships with the platform holders. And you can see that represented in the fact that we've been featured 3 times with Daydream Blue, we've been included in 2 sales, we've been a launch title on 2 virtual reality platforms, and we've got 2 events lined up this holiday season. As a company, we keep a very low overhead, hiring and contracting out specialists as needed for development. We fund new games through the revenue generated from previous games and through strategic partnerships. In fact, our first game, Daydream Blue, was entirely funded through strategic partnerships. And in 2017, we're going to incorporate in-app purchases as a way to have a continuous revenue stream after the initial sale of the game to the customer. I'm the CEO and founder of RalphVR. Before founding RalphVR, I co-founded the Lexington game studio SuperSoul with John Meister and spent 4 years building that into the successful and sustainable business it is today. Along the way at RalphVR, I've had some amazing mentors. Tim Draper, founder of DFJ and 3rd-generation Silicon Valley venture capitalist. RalphVR is also happy to be alumni of the Silicon Valley incubator, Boost VC. We've had some great accomplishments today. Daydream Blue has generated around $153,000 in revenue. Now that may not seem like a lot in a mature market such as mobile games, but in an emerging market like VR, where consumer devices have only become available in the past year, this is a very significant number. And during that time, Daydream Blue has been shown in events around the world, including 5 countries. Events such as Smithsonian Indie Arcade in Washington, D.C., Busan Indie Connect in South Korea, and Final Festival in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Very excited about what the next year has in store for RalphVR. And I want to thank you for giving me 5 minutes of your time to let me tell you about RalphVR, where we make playful, relaxing, social VR games. Thank you.
Hey there, thanks for that. Can you tell me a little bit about the any kind of metrics you have regarding playability and you current users, other than you gave a couple descriptive reviews, but do you have stickiness with your users or anything like that?
I should have looked at the most recent numbers, but I have analytics on all the platforms about the average play time, which I think is around 20 to 25 minutes, and the game is currently on 2 mobile VR platforms, and then Oculus, which is a PC. I only make that distinction because there's generally a longer playtime on PC. We usually have about an hour when people are in multiplayer versus about 20 to 25 minutes when they're playing the single player version. And then I can say total users is around 6,000.
What sort of in-app purchases do you have in mind, or are you planning for in a Daydream Blue?
Probably not going to add many to Daydream Blue other than to test out the technology. Partly, in-app purchases haven't been available for the first year, and so there was kind of a technical limit there. With Google coming onto the scene with the Daydream headset, they now have Google Play services, in-app purchases. And so that's one of the reasons why it's going to be 2017. It's now available because of Daydream. So just in case there's a confusion, Google has a platform called Daydream. RalphVR has a game called Daydream Blue. We have a trademark pending, and we're launched 6 months before them. So. Of course, they're Google. And that's what my lawyers are. But it would be the plan is to develop 2 smaller games targeting mobile VR next year. So targeting the Daydream headset, because I really believe for mobile VR, that's really where it's at. Essentially, they have a standardized certification program. Anybody can pass cert on their phone, and they be part of the ecosystem of Daydream. And so we'll be building new games with in-app purchases in mind during development.
Because you're small and in a really new market, do you consider your ideal scenario as such an early, first mover to attract a purchase from someone like Google, or do you want to stay independent, like in the medium to long term?
A year ago, I thought a lot about the long term. In the past year, I've really been thinking more about the next few years. I would say that I don't know how to answer the question because everything changes so rapidly. So 6 months ago or 9 months ago, we were an incubator and looking at raising funding. Now it seems that the best way forward right now is to stay small, have a very low overhead, get funding from the platform holders who are actively giving out money to developers to put games on their systems, and see that through for about a year, because there's a lot of speculation right now, there's a lot of money being poured into it, but I think the people who are predicting where it's going to go are a couple of years ahead of where it's actually at when you talk to the people who are making the hardware and the software in the industry.
So what should we know about, I mean, there are a lot of people that are starting to get into this space. I heard last year, Kleiner Perkins said that they wanted more people to pitch VR-related ideas. They weren't seeing enough of them. So there's certainly a big market there. But what differentiates you? Like what do you have in terms of your approach to developing a VR game that's different from thousands of other developers out there starting to do the same thing?
Well, for one, right now we already have one of the best social multiplayer kind of tech sets of people out there. So you have Altspace that's raised, I don't know, 10 million. They might have just raised another round. They have some additional features with servers or whatnot, but the basic interaction where you talk to another person, you have the pupils kind of track, the voice comes out. All of that technology has already been built in RalphVR. And so that gives it
a technological advantage.
Yes. So it's because I would argue that we're also really good at making games, but what does that mean? A technological advantage is a distinct thing that we have that other people don't have at this point.
I have one more question.
Quickly.
Give me a little more on your revenue model. It was a little lacking in the presentation. I mean, just understand how you make money, how many users you need. I know a lot of your investment is sunk cost in terms of your developers and your fees, and et cetera.
Right.
So tell me how you sell.
So we sell games through third-party distribution platforms. Best example would be Google Play. They handle the distribution, they take a small cut, and we get the rest of the money. This is the way that it goes for almost all game sales. There's times it doesn't happen in that way, but these people own 93, 95, 90% of the entire market.
Quickly, how many would you need to sell of one game to break even or start making money? How many downloads or user licenses or what have you?
Well, so Daydream Blue's development was all funded by those platform holders. So there was never any risk in it. They paid for the development of it. But so for 2017, the idea is 2 games, $30,000 budget apiece. And at $4.99 price point, that would be, no, not math up here, but that would be, thank you. I swear I'm pretty good at math. Yeah, but 6,000 copies apiece. Yeah. And we're at about 6,000 on Daydream Blue, but this is while all the users are coming into the ecosystem. So I anticipate that as long as we deliver a quality game and maintain our relationships with the platform holders, because it's really important to have a good relationship with them so they give you features, because that drives probably 90% of the sales. That in the first week that you launch. Well, that's reasonable.
I'm really excited.